everyone. My name is Austin Belzer, and welcome to my first film festival interview of the year. I'm thrilled today to be talking with two of the people behind the film Lockjaw. It's a comedy that blends dark humor with heartfelt storytelling. Joining me today are Sabrina Greco, the director and screenwriter of Lockjaw, as well as Blu Hunt, the main, star of the film. Lockjaw will have, I believe, let me know if I get any of this wrong, will have its world premiere on February 22nd with, congratulations, by the way, a sold-out screening at the Summer and David Theater. Yes. Followed by a second screening on February 24th, which isn't sold out yet, at the Panasonic Lumix Theater. But Sabrina, Blu, welcome. How are y'all doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. This is my fourth cup of coffee today, so it's good.
This is my third iced coffee. I feel you.
Nice. But yeah, I'm excited to sit down with you. And yeah, let's get to talking about it. First, I'll start with Sabrina. I'd love to hear what the creative idea behind Lockjaw was and how you blended the humor of what is ostensibly a wild night out with the serious undercurrents of Raina's personal struggle. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, so the idea for the movie started with the mouth, and then I tried to build a story around it. So it kind of felt like, the mouth wasn't the only thing going on. It felt like it was reflecting something more emotional. And then once I had that and was trying to figure out, what the character's story was, I tried to balance it out by having all these other characters around her and trying to figure out okay, Raina's character is going on more of this emotional trajectory of self-destruction and ruining the night. And then for it to be a comedy, how am I balancing that with all of the other characters around her? Some of them kind of become victims of the situation, like the boyfriend-ish character, Mitch. And then there's others that aren't really as affected by that kind of get to do their own thing and have fun in their own way, that serve as a contrast to kind of put her emotions into a bigger perspective of oh yeah, she's going on this emotional loop, emotional spiral, but ultimately the world is going on around her. What's going on in her head is actually not as important as she thinks it is. It's not as grave, because even though she did something bad, a lot of the emotions that the character is going through were kind of just embarrassment and shame and guilt, rather than I don't know. I think those emotions, when you're going through them, can feel really heavy, but actually once you're out of them, they can feel really silly. Oh, how did I just ruin my whole night because I just got a little bit embarrassed,
Yeah. And then Blu, I'd love to ask about what, obviously what drew you to the film, but kind of your process in discovering Raina's character in all of this.
I mean, Sabrina and I have been friends for a while, and we've made some stuff together, little short films here and there and stuff. So when I heard Sabrina was doing the movie and then we talked about it, I was it wouldn't have mattered exactly what the role was. I just would have acted in one of Sabrina's movies. Mm-hmm. But then of course, getting to play a character whose jaw is wired shut the entire movie is it's so interesting, and it'll probably be one of my favorite things I've ever done as an actor, and I wish I could do it again.
That's cool. Yeah, we do a sequel.
We need a sequel where she's got a second DUI, and
any better. No. She hasn't learned any lessons.
No, I know. It was such a fun challenge, and I had to do it, and, but getting ready and prepared for the role. I mean, I already felt intrinsically, I related to Raina. She's something very, she's short, I'm short. And there's this kind of really this intensity, this kind of anger, this impatience. And I feel I can get really wrapped up in my own world and kind of forget that anybody else is around me. And it's a self-absorbed, you become self-absorbed in your own pain. And it mm-hmm. Sabrina's right. When I've come out of it, I've been wow, that was so silly and stupid. And ultimately it just looks funny. In my head, it's so serious, but I might as well have the mouthpiece on. That's what I like about the mouthpiece is It's like she's like, like kind of just being like, but it is so funny because she can't express herself at all. And I feel like sometimes I feel that way, even though like I can talk, obviously, but I feel like I'm like trying to say things to people and like no one is hearing me and I'm like panicking and I feel like no one gets it and like I'm angry and that part of her I related to and that felt really natural to me. But then like putting that, like sometimes I would kind of like try to spy on Sabrina a little bit and,
what were you looking for?
just trying to like understand like what part of you, like you put into the character and to like not make the character just myself.
Yeah.
Because if I had played Raina exactly as myself, like it wouldn't have been the character that ended up being in the movie. And I wanted to kind of, like, I felt like you would never tell me exactly. Like, you don't even know. Like, sometimes you write a script and a character, you don't really know, like, what part of yourself you put into it. So I kind of try to, I don't know.
I purposely didn't tell you also because
really?
I didn't want you to feel like you were trying to act as me or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. Yeah, no, I was just trying to figure it out and put a little bit of Sabrina, because we're very different, into the character, which is just like a little more like, not like quiet, but like slightly more kind of like restricted and not as like, so it's like, it's a very physical role, but I try not to be too physically loose, just more expressive in my face.
Yeah, because I mean, you talked about it earlier. You've got a big mouthpiece preventing part of your performance for 60 plus minutes of the movie. So yeah, I can only imagine how challenging that would be as an actor. Just because, again, I hear a lot of the acting is in the face. So you almost have to, I imagine. Correct me if I'm wrong, express with your eyes.
Yes. Well, yeah. And it's funny because, you're supposed to do that anyway when you're acting, I guess, like you're supposed to just, everything's supposed to be in your eyes or whatever. And, but I think like the balance is like not overdoing it. Like you have to like show everything with your face more than usual and with your eyes. But then you don't want to get like crazy eyes, like be like,
yeah, you don't want to look like The Rock.
It's like just like this balance of, okay, the only thing I have to express myself really is my face, but still trying to make Raina's, even though Raina has the restraint of not being able to express herself with her words, she's still trying to. Like, just because she has not had this on her for years or something, like she's still not used to it. This is her first night with her friends. So trying to like remember that for her, she's still acting in a way that she always would. And just kind of like forgetting that no one understands what she's trying to say. And then remembering that the only thing she has is her face. So trying to still act with my words and then kind of remembering I can't, and then using like facial expressions, but not like doing it too much. Cause that would it would be kind of ridiculous.
And I think I'd be remiss, to not mention it. Your palm trees are in the background, and obviously this film represents as the Made in LA tag on it. So I'd love to get insight from either of you about how Los Angeles influenced the film.
Yeah, I think LA is a big influence in the film. I think like from, I've lived here for about 5 years now. So like not just it being like my day-to-day experience, but also like I kind of tried to take like what I've gotten from like nights out here and like put that into the movie, like how they kind of party hop a little bit at the beginning. And that's like something I've definitely experienced here, where you like get to a location and everyone's already ready to leave and they already want to go to something else because they're bored of whatever they just saw here.
And how you can get like, sometimes you like go to like a party and it's like not even really a party. It's just like 4 people sitting in a living room, and somehow you get stuck there until 3 a.m. and you're just like, it's like endless, and your boyfriend really wants to leave, but for some reason you're staying even though you're not enjoying yourself. It's like so true to LA nights, which are so like, they're just like endless and random.
Yeah. And I think I got that vibe just traveling out to LA a few years ago for a convention. Everyone would be moving from thing to thing, where it'd be like, okay, we've gone to the pier, now let's go entirely like 2 hours out of our way to do this entirely different thing.
It's funny because it's not even easy to get around. So like you're driving for 30 minutes, you get to a place and everyone's like, we're going to the next thing.
Also, and like this is like weirdly drinking and driving in LA is like such a thing here too. Like it's like
kind of not that you have to, but like
it's like you should not drink and drive. And it's funny because I actually
no, you shouldn't.
I don't drive actually. I got my driver's license for the first time like 2 years ago.
Oh, congrats!
I still don't actually drive. Like I don't own a car. I hate driving. So I've never been in a situation where I could even possibly get a DUI. But I know like, there's just so many people in LA. It's just like, it's like a thing about LA, you know, like not that you should, but people like people do. And and that feels like so in the beginning of the movie, when she does like just leave, she goes and just drives, you know, even though she's drunk, it's like, it's not like the most unheard of thing to happen in LA. And it feels like a very LA, Los Angeles situation. And people think they're so indestructible here and like they can do something like that. And it's like totally unsafe. And like it can end up with your jaw, you know, it end up worse.
Yeah.
So, but it does feel like a very like kind of Los Angeles moment. Too.
Yeah. It's an LA problem.
It's an LA problem. I mean, it's a problem everywhere, but in LA, people think it's kind of funny, but it's like not, you know.
That should go on the poster. Like when you design the next poster, it's an LA problem. Should be just right.
Drink and drive.
Work with the California Transport Authority. Just put it on bus stops and everything. But yeah. I so obviously, you know, with all we've been talking about, it's a pretty unique story, right? I'd love to hear any moments about filming it. That maybe might help shape what we're seeing at Slamdance in what, like 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, I think like when we were filming the movie, because there's so many different characters, like I wanted to make sure that all of the actors kind of went in knowing what they needed to do off the bat. Like they had a really good grounded understanding of their character and how they fit into like the whole ecosystem, so that when we were on set, they could improvise and feel free to improvise and feel like comfortable doing that, because we all kind of knew, like they knew what they were working off of really well. So nothing ever really felt out of place. So there's that like montage scene kind of like maybe 20 minutes in or so. And that was all scripted. It was originally like a very, very long scene. Like if I played that out in full, it probably would have been like 20 minutes. And in the edit, it became clear that was not the best way to get what I needed to get across. So we turned it into this like jokier montage, but like those jokes are all kind of the mix of like the actors coming up with stuff and playing off of each other. And then like the script, but also like, you know, me like as the director, because there's so many of them like feeding off of their energy and like also trying to improvise and give them new things to do to like keep it moving, because you're running through this like what was like a 20-minute scene over and over and over. And that was like one of the few scenes that we spent almost all day working on because we kind of had to.
Yeah, Sabrina would give everyone like, we would do the take and then like riffing. You would like give everyone like a riffing take. She'd be like, okay, you can riff on this one, guys. Even though it's funny because I don't think I like ever riff.
Well,
I never did. Like I think the funniest improv was when Robert's character starts calling me Bane. He's like, oh. And I remember like actually standing there and feeling like genuinely like I was just like, and everyone is laughing because he's like actually making everyone laugh because you just come up with the joke then. Yeah. And I remember like really standing there and like looking at everyone laughing at me like while we're filming the scene and being like, I was just like, I was like, I want to leave this party. I'm done. I want to go home.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I think it really works.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really quick, I just want to ask one final question. What do you hope people who see it at Slamdance take away from Lockjaw?
Yeah, I think like I went into the movie like not really wanting to like give anyone a lesson that they necessarily need to come out of the movie with, but more of like I just wanted to like find like a funny way that felt accurate to me to like depict these like little mental loops you could get into that feel kind of self-destructive. but also like all consuming and really like hard to get out of. So I hope that people that watch the movie can feel like they can relate to that in some way. And like, but also, you know, as when you get out of those things, you realize how like silly they are. So,
but you have to like actively choose to change, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Change doesn't just come upon you.
Yeah.
You have to, you know, kind of, you know, sometimes it's good to look at people looking at you and be like, oh,
Yeah, now I need to stop.
Okay. Like, I think there's a great moment at the end of the movie. It really does feel
Yeah.
like this kind of, you know, I hate sometimes when characters change too much at the end of a movie and it's like, wow, they're a different person.
Yeah.
But it does feel like genuinely like she's gone through a night and is actually for the first time able to see like even like a huge problem like a DUI is like, she can get through this and it's okay to like laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
And,
I think it was
yeah,
like important for, yeah, like you said, the character to have more of like an emotional change than anything, because like not to spoil it, but at the end of the movie, she does like drink again. And I thought that was kind of important because it felt like even though you're not overcoming like your main physical problem, you feel almost like you understand your problem better.
Yeah, it's like by engaging in the problem again, she's actually like, oh, I understand the problem.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah. So thank you, Sabrina and Blue, for joining me for this interview. I know you've got a busy schedule ahead, so I won't keep you any longer. But people can see Lockjaw on February 24th at the Panasonic Lumix Theater during Slamdance 2025. I'll have a link in the description of both the YouTube video and the link that goes up on my website. Thank you, Sabrina and Blue, for sharing your insights on Lockjaw. I hope people see it at Slamdance. I know I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You can find me on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads under my username, Austin B Media, as well as my Discord and Patreon community chat. Speaking of Patreon, if you'd like early access to this next interview or more exclusive content, head on over to patreon.com/AustinBmedia. For just $3 a month, you get 48-hour early access to my reviews, podcasts, interviews like this one, and articles, plus patron-only channels on my Discord. The $10 a month tier, you'll unlock uncut podcast episodes, exclusive episodes, and more. If you enjoyed this interview, stay tuned for more Slamdance and South by Southwest 2025 interviews. Until next time.